we waited so long to hire anybody. I think we were just couldn't even believe that we had started a company. It still felt like, well, this is our hobby. This is what we are doing on the side or something. And then we were like, no, we have a company. We have to actually hire people. And the second we did that, we were able to take things to the next level.
Hi, everyone. It's Alex York. I'm here with Tessa Barton, the founder of Tezza. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm so excited to talk about your burgeoning career. You have gone from like hardcore photography in your background to then building an app to continuing on your journey of being a fashion content creator. There are so many facets to what you do today. How do you describe what your career is?
Oh gosh, I hate that question. No, I actually like it as I get older. But I am really the creative director of Tezza and really try to create a place that gives creators tools, inspiration, ways to work and connect with brands. That's really like the forefront of what I do every single day. But on top of that, I also, still work with brands as a creator myself. I like to keep a pulse on what's happening in the industry, how I can best serve creators and make a tool that, not just a tool that's helpful for them, but like a space that feels safe to come and learn and create. And that's the bulk of what I do. I still love to take photos too and do all that stuff for brands as well. So
yeah, it's super exciting. You're in such a like kind of combination of creative fields right now. Did you ever expect to be a founder of something, especially like a tech platform essentially?
Definitely. I never would have said tech. So that you caught me there, but like I loved starting businesses. As a kid, I had like a candy shop. I would teach art classes to the kids down the street. I was just obsessed. I grew up in an insanely cool family of entrepreneurs and artists. And it was so inspiring. And I didn't realize until I, got much older that was unique to be in a family that supported art and creativity. Today, we've come a long way. I feel like now you can tell somebody I'm an aspiring artist of any kind and people are like, great, I support you. I hear you on that. When I grew up, it was like, well, what are you really going to do? And so it became kind of my mission to give everybody the ability to know that they can be creative and have that inside of them. And that has become kind of the whole reason we even started Tezza to begin with.
Yeah, I think that's so important and like special for a lot of people who are creative or don't want to go down, I don't know, a STEM route or like a hard, deep tech route.
Yeah.
To realize that there are true businesses that you can build in so many of these other creative fields. You started your career in photography, correct? Can you tell me a little bit about that experience, how you ultimately went down that route to begin your like work journey?
Yes. I mean, I was obsessed with fashion. That was really the beginning. And I started shooting my collections and I realized, wow, like there's something with photography that's storytelling that I was obsessed with. So then I went to art school, got my BFA in fine art. And within that process, there were so many students that were bugged because Instagram came out and they were like, now everyone thinks they're creative. And I was like, no, this is something. This is really cool. Now people are going to be paying more attention to what we're doing. And I really took it as a moment of like, I'm going to make my platform a place to come and learn and be inspired and teach people that they can create amazing content. It doesn't, anyone can do it. And so that really was the beginning. That was in, 2010, 20, whatever. I don't know what year it is anymore. And then, slowly after that, I just saw kind of the social media platforms begin to happen and people begin to start to make money on them. And my husband and I moved to New York City. We were just two kids, like really had no reason to move there other than we really, really loved it. And we were like, we're going to make money. We're going to figure it out. My husband was working at a tech startup at the time and deferring salary. So we had $0. I was a aspiring photographer working with brands, sure, but making money, questionable. Yeah. I remember like one day we looked at each other, we have negative dollars in the bank account. So we were trying to figure out how can we pay rent. And I started leaning into social media a bit more, understand like brands were just starting to maybe pay people. Like it wasn't like it is today. And I was like, okay, there's something here. So I leaned into social media posting, 3 times a day, really trying to actually engage and grow this community of people that were interested in the same thing that I was. And that's really where it all came together because I was, yes, working as a creator, but I was also a photographer who had like a very strong aesthetic and was really open about it. It was never something I was like, this is my secret sauce. I was going to share it with everyone because I really believe that the more you share, the more you grow. And it was only going to, be bigger from there. And so, that was kind of the beginning. And then fast forward to 2018, my husband and I had a crazy idea. We're like, could we build an app? Because looking at the space at the time, it was just like a bunch of tech apps built by a bunch of dudes. There was nothing that had brand or, this kind of, I could feel there was something happening, especially with women at the time. We were dominating the space, working with brands, and there was nothing catering to that and speaking to that. And we really wanted to come in and bring some personality, make something that was as fun as the act of creating. And so we were crazy enough to think we could do it. And we completely bootstrapped it, built it, the two of us, in a tiny 250 square foot apartment in New York City. And we created the app that is now today, has had over 25 million downloads. It was really something we kind of it was a passion project. We felt like the community needed it and wanted something different. And I can't believe that we're here today. So.
Yeah, it's been such a crazy journey to watch how Instagram and social media in general has changed over the last decade.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you first started, it was not something people did for a job. It was just, a place to share some sort of creativity.
Yeah.
When in your journey did you realize that this was something you could start building a business around and not just something that was maybe a platform for like a portfolio of your own work? When did that switch flip that this is like a real business opportunity here?
Yeah, I think it was in, maybe 2015, 2016. That's when I first went to a meeting with a social media manager.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like a scam. I was like, okay, this is so sketchy. Like, why would you want to represent me? I don't even get it. And they were like, this is how much you could be charging. This is how brands are. Before that, brands weren't even sending a contract.
Right.
It would be like, it was the Wild West. People were just, it was crazy. The things I did, it was, yeah. But that was really when the light bulb went off. And still to that, no one was respecting or understanding the space at that time. It was still really early. I think it was about 2 or 3 years later when the word influencer even became a thing, and then, so on and so forth. So.
How do you feel about the word influencer? I feel like there's so many different opinions on being called that. Do you identify as one yourself?
I literally have hated it since it came. It feels so pretentious, right? Or it feels like I influence people. I don't know. But
you do. Like, I feel like this is a conversation I have with people all the time. And I'm like, to me, as a non-influencer, that's like the highest achievement, I feel like, is to be able to influence somebody else.
I like it. I like it.
Like, do you ever feel that? Like, you truly are, one, for just like sales purposes, like you are pushing sales, you're encouraging people to buy things, but also, like you said, you're now helping people to be creative in different ways. I feel like there's such a negative connotation around the word. And I'm like, no, but you guys are really, you're influencing people. Like every brand in the world hopes to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like it. Okay, maybe I like it now.
Reclaim it.
I'll reclaim it. Yeah.
Do you feel a pressure in that sense that people are watching you, that people are following along your journey, that you are either recommending products or your own product to them now? What does that feel like as kind of the leader of this?
I do feel a lot of pressure. I guess the pressure for me comes more of like, okay, how am I forward thinking always? Because I think I've been now posting photos on the internet for over 10 years. I've been in this space for a long time. It's changing all the time. And being somebody that has a platform that also supports creators, I'm always trying to think, okay, what's next? How am I supporting you in that way? And that's where the pressure really comes from for me. I think the other pressure comes when you're not feeling like creative or authentic and you're just posting because it feels like part of the job. Like, the most important thing for me is to try and make sure what I'm posting is actually coming from me. And it's like having that trust with the people I'm posting with, then it feels like a friendship and an actual real relationship, not just like a job. Yeah,
that totally makes sense. Throughout your experience building your own social media platform, building your own community, when along that journey did you then launch Tezza? How did your, the community that you had created for yourself then feed into that?
Yeah. So I think, I'd been obviously posting and doing things for years, but when we launched in 2018, within the first year, we had over 1 million downloads, which really, I think our community, we had already been building tools for them for like Lightroom or Adobe products. I had written a book called, when I literally forgot it, it was called Insta Style. And it was so crazy that I even wrote this book, but I truly was so passionate about this space. I was like, everyone can do this. And I wanted anyone to feel like they could approach the space. And so the book was really about how you could work with brands or how you could take better content, how you can, all these things. So it was, everyone was already very involved. It was a very open space. And when we launched, I think there was just immediate success and appreciation because people felt like, wow, you did this for us. Like they were begging for an easier, better option that was really powerful and for the pro user, somebody that's really trying to do this as a career, and for just the everyday person that's like, I want to maybe dip my toe, but I don't want to do something that's really complex. Like, how can it be easy? So there was just an immediate attraction to it, which was so exciting.
Definitely. And you and your husband Cole came together to build this. Like you said, he had experience in the tech building or the app building space. You had the experience on the fashion and photography side of things. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you guys decided to work together and build a company together?
Yes. We really we played in a band together. I mean, let's take it all the way back, right? So we were in the creative space together, and we started taking photos together, all of those things. I feel like we had a really similar creative energy. And I realized quickly that he was just as creative as me. Like I was always known as the creative one, but really he's maybe more creative than me. I gotta say it. I'll give him credit. But, working together at first was insanely difficult. I think working with your partner is like the most amazing thing if you can make it work, but it comes with challenges. And my biggest advice there would be like, try and be forward thinking about it. If you have a bigger goal you're working towards, it's much easier to not get frustrated about little things that bug you along the way. And then also defining your roles, because stepping on each other's toes is really, really hard. And I think if you can like say, this is yours territory, this is mine, and we can come together on these things, it makes everything so much easier. So we did a lot of that in the beginning, honestly, just with like content creation and having to work together in that side of the job. He became a photographer, not out of choice, but because that's kind of the work we were doing. So when we finally came together to start the app, it was really, I think because we bootstrapped the business, we literally didn't hire a single other person for 3 years. Right. The first beginning, it was just us. And it was some people ask like, oh, do you wish you had raised money? Do you wish you had, hired all this outside help? Sure, maybe. It could have been cool. But I think what we did was we did it so slow and so meticulously, and there was so much passion behind it. And we built it so honestly and openly with the community that they really were responsive, and they would even tell us like, we don't like this subscription price doesn't make sense, whatever. So we were like so listening and building it with them, and we learned so much that way. And I feel like that's what has helped us compete. We're now competing with all these venture-backed apps that are massive teams and 250 person team, and we're still like 12 people. We're still small, but we're still able to compete because I think people can feel the passion and authenticity, and that's like how we treat the brand.
Yeah. How do your services and like the things that you offer users today differ from when you first started out?
Majorly different. I mean, we really pride ourselves on being a creative suite, having all the tools you could need to be a creator and work as a professional creator. So everything from, top tier video editing to every kind of photo editing you could need, to templates, to, you name it. You can feed plan, all the things you have to do, you could do it. In the beginning, it was literally, you could put a filter on a photo, which I know groundbreaking, but like it was groundbreaking at the time.
How do you think, because I think that there's been a lot of discussion in the social media space lately, wanting to move like away from the edited photos more into the raw footage or raw content. That's why we saw like such a rise with TikTok, and so many people are trying to be more like authentic in what they're sharing online. Did you ever feel any hesitancy continuing to build Tezza as something that people are like editing with, or how has that conversation happened in your own mind?
Totally. I mean, I do think there's always going to be room for everyone, and these trends come and go. I've seen it now already like 3 cycles within the past 7 years. So I'd never for me, photography and storytelling and having, something that's edited, I think some people get scared of that word, but really that's, if you were an artist and you painted a certain way, or every photographer has a very specific style, like just because there's color treatment or certain things on it doesn't make it bad or not authentic.
Right.
And so we've really helped, people figure out what that means for them. And of course we cater to the no edit. We have a lot of that stuff that people say, oh, I don't edit, but yes, they use certain things in the app just to, make things look or feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, we're always kind of like playing both sides of that coin and figuring out how we can make something that's easier. And then also just with our video editing and our tools and things like that, we're also catering to platforms like TikTok or YouTube and stuff like that.
Definitely. How much has the social media landscape and its changes impacted how you guys come out with new offerings or services, or how you guys are continuing to build and grow Tezza?
A lot. Yeah. We're always, constantly evolving and changing and creating new things. And I think we're in an interesting time where, social media, things are just about to change even quicker than they have ever before. And I think it's exciting. I do feel like there's going to be new platforms that are going to be coming up for creators to be posting on, ones that actually are maybe supporting creators more. I do feel like we're kind of moving in interesting directions, which is exciting. I feel like that means there's, more to come. I think we're going to be able to create content much quicker than we've ever been able to, and a higher volume. So storytelling and actually having something that is unmistakably yours is going to be so important moving forward. Whether that's through, how you're editing or how you're curating or storytelling, all those things. So I'm always thinking, okay, how can I allow creators to do all this at the fastest way possible and really efficiently, and bring like a tool that's going to do that for them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my head's at right now.
Totally. And just you saying that too, just made me think of, in terms of this, like being authentic, as you're mentioning, the way that you edit or the way that you curate your feed or your platform in whatever way, like, is authentic to the way that you want to create it and the things that you want to, put out into the world. And I think that it does bring up like just an interesting conversation about like what that means for social media content creators moving forward and how they can continue to differentiate themselves and, sometimes follow the trends and sometimes not at all. How do you in your own content creation think about that, how much to follow the trends versus how much to stick to your own roots? What is that thought process like in your mind?
For me, I can't even explain it in any other way than it's so authentic for me to try and test and do different things, because I am a consumer of fashion magazines and movies and so many aesthetics, and I'm constantly talking about why things matter or why they are important to me, or trying different film cameras that people are dying to do, but they're so expensive. And so how can I give you that experience in one tap in the app or things like that? So for me, that is authentic, is creating art and trying new things and pushing my creative limits. And I hope it always will be, because that's kind of why I fell in love with doing this in the first place.
How much of those other, forms of inspiration, like you're talking about, impact the either filters that you're putting out, allowing people to use, or the different services that you're allowing them to try out on the platform? Where are you pulling that inspiration from to decide like what physical offerings you're going to be able to give people moving forward? Totally.
I mean, a lot of it is I'm watching what people are doing, like just on social media in general. I'm like, okay, is this a trend? Is this what people are liking? I never want to make something just because it's going to be a quick trend. I'm like, is it going to be timeless and something you're going to like down the road? Right. And that's like the key metric. If it hits that, then we can build it. We can try and make it. But I truly have always been very passionate about film photography. And I mean, I grew up just collecting as many images as I could find and get my hands on, because I feel like, I don't know, there's something nostalgic about images of the past. Like you want to hold on to them forever. And that's really what kind of inspires me to create a lot of what we make in the app, just to kind of give you that feeling of something that's going to last forever. Yeah.
And from a more technical standpoint, and this maybe goes back to the conversation about like how you and Cole determine what your roles are in the company, how does that then come into practice? What are the processes like from, like I said, like the technical aspects of building the app to make sure that these things can come to life?
So technically, yes, I create every single like preset or, grain or every little thing you see is created by one of us. We go from like getting a ton of inspiration, and then what we'll do is, test on thousands and thousands of images. And really, I think what kind of was our special sauce in the beginning is everything has been tested on so many people and faces. And we're not really, of course we support any kind of photography, but really we're looking at creators. How are they, wanting to create, almost treating it like a beauty brand, something that's going to highlight what's already naturally beautiful in there, but just give it that extra little special sauce. So once we kind of get that inspiration, I'll kind of come up with the look and tones and feels, and I'll test on everything from a professional image to like just an iPhone image. Yeah. I test on a really bad image, because if it can be good on a really bad image, it's going to be great on everything else. And then we'll go and build in the back end. And so a lot of that now, as we've done a lot of film emulation and video things, we've brought in some amazing developers who are helping us kind of build a lot of that technically, because that's all code. Yeah. Which is really fun, because that's leveled up so much of what we've been able to do. Yeah, definitely. What does the team look like today? You said there are 12 of you, correct? Yes. And what is that divided between? What are the different departments at Tezza? So it's, that's a great question. We have a very small marketing team, but my husband and I are still basically the majority of the marketing team. We have a head of community and content who's running all of our social and very involved with our social. If you DM us, like, she never misses a DM. She is on it. And I feel like people call her our big sister, because she's so cool. Like, when we have events, people just want to talk to her. She's famous. She's just awesome. But then we also have, on the product side, that's where we're really heavy these days. We've really had to build up our developer team, our product managers, people like that. So we're still small, but that's kind of the team. Yeah. And I want to go back quickly to, in terms of thinking about what's next, shaping the business, you working with your partner on this. You said that, at first it was maybe a little bit difficult and you had to have those hard conversations. How have you gone about having those conversations and continuing to have like a healthy relationship with each other while you're building this healthy business as well? Totally. I mean, we're very, we have our non-negotiables. So I think those are very important. But even simple things like, every Friday we have a lunch meeting and we have to have it. Even if we're so stressed and it's like, it's not making sense. It's like, we don't look at the phone and we're talking directly to each other, and we're saying everything we need to say. Also, like, when you're married, we also have to like have that connection outside of work, because otherwise it's just like work and then kids and then you're like, I don't even know who you are anymore. So we really prioritize that meeting, and it's where our best idea, we always say it's our best ideas. Everything we have thought of, like, there are certain restaurants I'm like, I owe you, because you have given me that safe space. And then also on top of that, like, we take at least a few meetings of the week on a long walk. Like, I know these are like wellness, like health tips, but it's like that for me is where I have so much clarity. Yeah. I can talk openly about what I'm thinking. I think sometimes when you're like this and then you have Slack here and you have your phone here and you're thinking about a million things, you're not actually going to be listening to the other person and helping build and think about your team and how you're supporting them. But something about being on a walk while doing it is nice. Your mind has to be right for the business to succeed 100%. Got to be there for the people. Yes. How has it been, in your experience, being the leader of this and starting to hire people and put the team together? That's a very different role than being a creator for your own independent brand. What has that been like in your experience? So difficult. Yeah. I feel like it is the most difficult thing, especially when you are so passionate about it. You did it all yourself, and then you're trying to get it to the next level. I feel like on podcasts, people always talk about, okay, I got it from 1 employee to 100 employees, but no one's ever talking about like 20 to 30, and I feel like the biggest lesson I've learned as of recently, and I'm trying to incorporate it into my life, is people are so much more willing to share information than you think. And I've always kind of had maybe imposter syndrome about, okay, like, I'm going to call up or DM this person and say, could you have coffee for 15 minutes and give me advice on how to hire somebody for this role? I think understanding roles at a company is even complex, So my husband and I are both actually not good at this, and this is not in our skill set, but we're trying to get better. And I think people are so much more willing to help than you think. Like if someone were to message me personally and say, I'm starting an app, like what advice do you have? I'd be more than happy to help. So yeah.
What are the first pieces of advice you would give them?
Oh, great question. I would say this is what we didn't do. So I just didn't even think, I was a child, I feel like, but we didn't even consider, subscription plan and all the different options that you could do, and really think through how that could look and who your like actual customer is.
Yeah.
I think we were so passionate about what we were creating. We're like, let's hope that works. So I would kind of start there. I would look at the competitive space and think, okay, what's going to set you apart? How is it going to make you different? And is like the story and what you're doing so clear? Like it has to be the most clear thing that you're doing. Especially in like the app space. I think it's so competitive now, and people are able to spin up apps quicker than ever before. I think with AI, you're able to kind of now give it a formula and ask questions and say, if I were to do this, like what advice do you have? There are so many formulas out there now that you couldn't have gotten before. So I think like I would definitely also start there. And I would look at what your skills aren't, and I would hire those right away.
Yeah.
We waited so long to hire anybody. I think we couldn't even believe that we had started a company. It still felt like, well, this is our hobby. This is what we are doing on the side or something. And then we were like, no, we have a company. We have to actually hire people. And the second we did that, we were able to take things to the next level. So I just think don't be afraid of hiring and bringing people in to help you take it to the next level.
When did that realization hit that this is a company and you need to plan for it like that?
Yeah. I honestly, like 3.5 years in.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy to say that because I'm like, what do you mean? We were still doing it every single day and working on it every single day, but it was just, I think it was like when TikTok really came out also, I posted a video talking about why I started the app, and it went just ballistically viral. And so many people were commenting, oh my gosh, I didn't know Tezza was a person. And I was like, cool. That's awesome. That's the goal, right? But it really made me realize how many people were using it. And just to see, I think it was like because it was a new platform and just to hear that kind of conversation behind it, that really made it. Yeah. Real.
When it is removed from like you as a human and really just taken into itself as its own entity, I'm sure, like you said, that is the goal for a lot of people and a lot of founders. And I was, even looking today, you guys have 2.5 million monthly users, correct? And then you also have nearly 2 million Instagram followers on the Tezza account itself. That is very hard for a lot of brands to do, to be not just like a company that people follow maybe for updates or for, whatever reason, if they like the marketing or if they like the story behind it or whatnot, but to really have people following Tezza as a mover of fashion, of creativity, of all these sorts of things on social media. How do you think you guys were able to curate that sort of following behind it?
I think because we didn't treat it like a product. Yeah. We treated it like a person. Though it's like a community of people, but it was a place of like inspiration. You could come follow. It felt, fun and engaging. You could learn. The product was highlighted really well, but it wasn't like, use this because this is the product. I think because I have that influencer background, that's kind of how we always treated the brand and the feeling in the community. And honestly, people just wanted so much to also be a part of it. And we were so inviting. And really a lot of our competitors are like anti-social media. Yeah. And we're like pro-social media. We're here to support your career and we want you to succeed. And I think our community could feel that and still loves it. And I think that is really why our social media, they have better engagement than me these days, but I love it. It's awesome. Like that's all I could have ever wanted. So it's really cool.
And you have a lot of other content creators' content on the Tezza platform. And, like you said, it's many different people. It's the community that you're really featuring on the different social media platforms. Are these people that you are paying? Is it organic usage of Tezza? How are you, like, as a business owner, curating this feed that so many people are finding probably the platform through? Yeah,
I would say it's 90% organic content that users are posting, which is so cool. Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes from, back to kind of the question you asked about what you would do if you were launching an app today. Yeah. I just had a thought on that, thinking back to like investing in the people, whether you have 5 people that are interested in your product or 1,000, whatever it is, how are you constantly providing them value? Because those 5 people will do all the work for you. And I think that our community really felt that. They were a part of the process. We brought them along. We still do. We are creating a new feature. We say, do you like A or B better? And like, we really want them to be involved because we're making it for them and they feel that. And so I think finding that relationship with your community is so important and will keep them sticking around, especially from a business perspective, like retention wise. Like that's something we obviously, everyone wants good retention, sure. But like we really pride ourselves on having good retention, people that have been users of the app for years because we are building it for them and with them.
And when you are doing those tests, like, do you like this or this better? Is that through social media? Is it through the app itself? How are you getting that consumer feedback?
So a lot of it we do, like through stories, social media, but then we also have we call it the Tezza AV Club, just power users of all different kinds that are nice enough to give us their time and we'll give them, things in return when we do merch drops or things like that. But they'll test new features before they come out and let us know their feedback. So it's awesome.
Has there been throughout, like we've been talking about, so many changes in the social media landscape, so many changes in what consumers are looking for, what creators are looking to create. There's been a lot that you guys have had to keep in mind as you guys are continuing to build. Has there been a biggest challenge that you've come across?
Yeah.
Or maybe many.
There are so many.
Like
I think
business.
It's so much more complicated than you could imagine to even find video or photo developers, right? This is like, because all of the biggest and the best are going to go work at Instagram or Google or they swoop everyone up. So being a small bootstrap brand is very difficult to find this talent that's so unique and special. And so that has really been honestly the biggest challenge, to keep up with everything that's happening in social media. We have thoughts and dreams around what we want to do, but being small, we have to be super conscious about every single decision and think, can we actually do that? Can we keep up with this space? So.
And how about the biggest opportunities? As you guys, like you said, you're a small bootstrap business. So in a lot of ways, that gives you a lot of flexibility too. So where are the opportunities that you're seeing in the space right now?
We're able to move so fast.
Yeah.
So if we see something that we think is cool and we want to jump on it, we can do it immediately. We work with brands a lot in collaboration. Like they will have a launch and they say, we want to work with Tezza because, our communities are going to mesh really well. And we want to bring this like aesthetic and vision to life. So anyone from like 818 Tequila, Revolve, Summer Fridays, we do a lot of those kinds of things, which brands will usually reach out to us pretty last minute and we're able to do them because, we can move really quickly with such a small team. So
what do those events typically look like? Because I think that's a big conversation right now, is like community engagement. Do we do it in real life? Do we do it online? What do your events typically look like? Can you give me some specific examples of those?
Yeah, a lot of different things. I think, like for example, with 818, we built like a interactive photo booth. So a place you could come and like take photos and we would send them to you in real time. So you could actually see and feel and use the filters. And then it also represented exactly what the brand's event looked like and felt like. And they were able to get the content that they wanted, which was really exciting. And then we've done everything from that to like the American Music Awards, creating a space for the celebrities to come and create like a cool video that they're going to post and that also represents what the American Music Awards is doing. And what else? Some of it has been virtual where we're not actually doing like an in-person event. So for like Hourglass Cosmetics or Summer Fridays, we'll make something that highlights, a new foundation or a beauty product. And within the app, it can kind of highlight the product that this brand is creating, but also show you how they're hoping it could come to life through social media. So kind of a mix of different things.
I love that though, because the way that you're describing it, it's your product, but it's also a marketing engine for other products. And you talked about yourself in that way too, like as your own creator, you're walking this line between sharing your own content and also using and sharing Tezza. And another line that you guys walk, which you and I spoke about, is like the content creation line versus the fashion line. You came from a fashion background. You started building in New York City. Now you guys are based in LA. What has that transition been like to kind of walk all these different lines and be in like the Venn diagram of all these different industries at once?
great question. I feel like, New York was such a great place to start a business because if you can make it in New York, I really feel like you can make it anywhere.
You can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
It's true. It's like that old quote that just keeps coming back. But it is so insanely inspiring here and moves so quickly, and you have access to so much, which is so cool. And I think starting the brand here was beautiful, and then moving over to LA has been such a change, and even just shift of type of content creator, because I think creators there are, much more in like the beauty lifestyle space. And so we were able to kind of cater to both worlds. I think probably when we lived here we were really focused on a much smaller, more niche group of people, and moving there has helped us even expand to like other countries and other things, just seeing how interactive the content creator space is in California. Yeah.
You guys are also going through a rebrand right now. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's really like a brand refresh, I will say. But, we launched and we were moving so fast, and we were really focused on how do we make the product really good, not thinking about, we were always thinking about the world we were building, but it wasn't represented correctly. And one day, people would always describe our brand back to us, and we were like, yes, you get it. And then one day I like went to our website, like, this is a Shopify template and it doesn't even represent who we are. And my husband and I had designed everything you had seen up until like a year ago. Yeah. So we were like, we need to, have a brand that's going to stand the test of time. We want people to know we're here to stay. And we wanted to have a website that could also represent where we're going, because we want to be more than just a tool, but a place people can come, be inspired, connect with other creators, get educated on how to create better and all these things. So the rebrand was really to represent that. And I feel like, we have had our face icon, which we redid maybe 3 years in, and that has stayed with us. It's still the same. I love it. Maybe this is a tip or maybe it's not, but we never wanted our app icon to look like an app icon. We wanted it to feel like you could feel the artist's hand behind it. You could feel that it was a person. And so I will say every time I see it, I'm like, this is so different than anything in the App Store. And I absolutely love that.
At the beginning of the conversation, you mentioned that coming into building this app, so much else that existed in the App Store at the time were very like typical tech platforms built by a lot of men. That is not obviously where you came at it from. And I think that in business, a lot of times we overlook the power of like young women and the businesses they drive, the industries we drive, what we either spend money on or what we're creating. How has that community, being your target community, shaped how you guys are continuing to evolve? And as you are right in the App Store with these other hardcore tech platforms, how do you think about that as your target market?
I think, young women are who we're constantly focusing on. They're the drivers of like what's selling, what's doing well on the internet. And I think you no longer have to be a big creator to do well in social media. I think there's just so much room for everyone. And so, everything we're doing is really catered to somebody that is working in this fashion lifestyle beauty space. There's definitely room for so much more, but I find that niching down and being able to cater to a more specific audience allows us to kind of, work with certain other brands that we want to work with and attach to their audiences as well. Like, I think that's a big way we think about marketing is not just, okay, there's so many people we could get, but how can we connect dots with other brands that we're so well connected to? Because that is a unique thing that we have that maybe a lot of our other competitors do not.
Definitely. Moving forward, what are your expectations for the future of the social media space? How are you guys building within Tezza to accommodate that?
I think we're really focused on how can we help you create more and quicker. Because I do think like now we're going back to, there was a time where it was like post every single day, 5 times a day. Then we went back to, no longer posting maybe a couple times a week. Yeah. But now I think like volume is going to be really important, and not just like a post or whatever, but maybe like longer form content, how you can create those deeper connections and how we can bring your vision to life as a creator. A lot of what we've created is a curated experience coming from my point of view, right? But we're really excited about working with other creative directors, bringing other creators in and really highlighting their vision, and then also giving you the tools that you need to create exactly your special stuff. So the app does feel like your space when you enter it, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. Is there anything you are super excited about with Tezza in the next couple of months, or, either people that you're following that you're inspired by, or products that you guys are working on that you're excited to come out soon?
So many things. I think I'm really excited about, I really do feel like we're about to kind of enter a new wave of social media.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling about it. I don't even have the answer yet.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's going to be a whole new way of creating. I'm seeing brands do really, really unique things, like creating their own TV shows or, things like this within their content. And I think as a brand, that's going to be really cool to see how brands themselves, there's going to be the individuals, but I think brands are going to get really creative again because they're going to have higher budgets and be able to do cooler things. So I'm actually really excited to see how that kind of changes the space as well.
Yeah, super cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate you talking all through the building of the company and all you guys are working on in the future.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so appreciative. Great to see you.